BKFC comes to you from MK in the UK, Milton Keynes, where history will be made with 3 titles on the line. Live from Planet Ice, this is BKFC 60, Lily vs. Tenaglia for the vacant BKFC European Lightweight Championship. And it starts right now.
Fighting Championship presented by Bucked Up Energy Drink is back in the United Kingdom, coming to you from northwest of London in Milton Keynes. It's BKFC 60, and we will open with 3 preliminary bouts. Then at the top of the hour, our main card begins from here in Buckinghamshire. Tonight's feature bout for the inaugural BKFC United Kingdom featherweight strap, Gary Fox versus Ellis Shepherd. Our co-main for the BKFC UK 185-pound title, the champion Danny Christie versus David Rounds. And our main event for the inaugural BKFC European lightweight title, James Lilly versus Franco Tenaglia. Hey everyone, with Jared Warren, I'm Sean Wheelock. Chris Lights Out Lytle is heading our open tryouts today in Portland, Oregon. So, Jared, you were back here in England for your commentary debut, the site of your most recent fight back in November.
Yes, sir. I had a great time first time around. They did nothing but treat me good. I'm excited to be back.
Jared, this is a stacked card. It features 3 title fights. Our feature bout of the evening will crown the inaugural BKFC United Kingdom 145-pound titleist, Gary Fox versus Ellis Shepherd.
I got to meet Gary Fox when I was over there. He had some pressure going into that last fight. A lot of people follow around Robbie Brown. And he dealt well with that pressure, and he was able to come out on top, even though it was a very good fight, and now here he is in title contention.
Danny Christie was your last opponent. Tonight he's in our co-main. He is the defending BKFC UK 185-pound titleist. He will face David Rounds.
We all know Danny Christie's a rough and tough guy. He took out Anthony Holmes to get that belt, which was not previously be able to be completed. And he's got a big challenge in David Rounds. David Rounds had a ton of experience. He's more of a goofy kind of guy. They got some conflicting type of personalities, but I think it's going to make for an interesting fight.
And our main event, this crowns the first ever BKFC European 155-pound titleist, the fighter from Wales, James Lilly, versus the Argentine, now based in Spain, Franco Tenaglia.
This is going to be an awesome fight. You got James Lights Out Lilly. He's slick, he's fast, he's crafty. He's had a lot of bare-knuckle experience. On the flip side, you got Tenaglia, who's had a lot of mixed type of combat sports. He's got kickboxing, he's got MMA, he's got a little bit of bare-knuckle, but he's a rough and tough, get-in-your-face kind of guy. I look forward to seeing the 2 go at it.
BKFC uses the unified rules of bare-knuckle fighting, which are administered this evening by the ISKA. All bouts are scored by 3 judges on the 10-point must system. There is no 3 knockdown rule. All takedowns and submissions are illegal. Presented by Bucked Up Energy Drink for Bartek Kanabe versus Bakhtiar Kudratov.
Right here, a big standout I see for Kanabe is he's got a 8-inch reach advantage. That's pretty significant, especially for 2 guys that are standing at 5'9".
From Uzbekistan, Bakhtiar Kudratov, set for his BKFC debut. Jared, Chris Lights Out Lytle and I so often talk about the rapidly expanding global nature of BKFC. We're seeing that in this bout. We're in England. We're going to have an Uzbek versus a Pole.
That's one of the cool things about BKFC UK is it's not necessarily just the United Kingdom. It's kind of that whole side of the continent. You know what I mean? They have people from all over, and it makes it interesting. You see different styles going at it.
Dan Mergliatis serving as the outside ref for this bout. You will see him as one of our 4 referees on this card tonight. Into the ring comes the Uzbek, Bakhtiar Kudratov. From Poland, now based here in England, Bartek Knuckle. Knuckle enters 1-0 in BKFC. He made his debut in the promotion October of last year. Knuckle defeated Sean Kassane by split decision.
There was a couple Polish fighters on that last card in the UK, and they actually had a pretty big following. A lot of people showed up in person to support these guys.
Jared, so often it can be a major advantage to have even one bare knuckle fight versus an opponent who has none. That's the case here. Knuckle, this is his second bout in the promotion. For Kudratov, this is his debut.
It's a huge advantage. This is, I say, is the only sport that you can't fully practice like you play. You can't spar with no gloves on. You'll get cut and you won't be able to compete.
"11 bouts coming your way. This is our opening fight of the evening. We're about an hour northwest of London in Milton Keynes, England. To get us started, Ian.
Live for BKFC 60. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Milton Keynes. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is presented by Bucked Up Energy Drink, and this is in the BKFC lightweight division. Now let me introduce your fighter in the red corner. This fighter weighed in at 104.3 pounds. He is making his BKFC debut and representing Bukhara, Uzbekistan. Please welcome Baha the Barbarian. And now welcome his opponent in the blue corner. This fighter weighed in at 154.4 pounds. He has a BKFC record of 1 win and no losses. Representing Workington, England, Bartek, the Polish plow, Knuckle. And your referee for this bout, Andrew Glenn.
One of the best referees in all of bare knuckle fighting championship, indeed in all of pro combat sports, Andrew Glenn from Florida in the U.S., bringing these fighters up to scratch. Round number 1. White and black trunks for the Pole, now based in England, Bartek Knuckle. Red and white trunks for the Uzbek, Bartek Kudratov. There's the right hand from Kudratov. Right hand again, Knuckle dipping his head into that. In and out early from Kudratov, Jared.
Yeah, I like Red Corner's style right now. He's coming forward. He looks relaxed. I'd like to see him have his hands a little higher, but so far it's working for him.
Left hook just off the mark. Knuckle resetting. There's the right hand from Bakhtiar Kudratov. 125 remaining round number 1. Kudratov keeping that lead hand very low from the orthodox stance. On this step in, and down goes Bakhtiar Kudratov.
Not sure what happened there.
This fight is over, ended by Andrew Glenn, and the one-punch finish for Bartek Knuckle.
Looks like he might have injured his own arm in that last punch there.
Slight delay on the finish. Kudratov going down when he was doing some very good things in this fight. Andrew Glenn then stepping in and stepping over the fallen Bakhtiar Kudratov and bringing this fight to a conclusion. And just like that, Bartek Knuckle now 2-0 in BKFC.
Yeah, I think he injured either his hand or his forearm there when he threw the cross. And he was doing well. He was arguably winning the fight up to that point, even though it's still early on. But hate to see those injuries, but they happen all the time.
Kudratov, and you see, looking at his right hand, touching his right forearm. Almost surrealistic in the ending of that fight. Two fighters came together. Kudratov going down, and then Glenn bringing this fight to a conclusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 54 seconds of the very first round, we have a winner due to referee stoppage to TKO. In the blue corner, Bartek, the Polish plow, Knuckle.
You hate to see him in that way, but again, that's just kind of the name of the sport. There's less padding, and as a result, hands and arms take a lot more injury.
I believe referee Andrew Glenn saw it as a punch because he ruled it a TKO, but it was an injury if it was through the natural course of the fight. Regardless, that is the finish. Victorious by way of first round TKO, Bartek Kanabe defeats Bakhtiar Kudratov.
The king of violence!
Down goes Michael Page in round one. Jason Rocky Balboa versus Apollo Creed. Right-handed, down goes Julie Diaz. Three-punch combination in sequence there from Alex.
I'm the king of this shit, man. When it comes to trading punches and stay in the pocket, nobody can fuck with me.
Heavyweights for you now. Our tale of the tape is presented by OnlyFans for Jack Draper versus Fubo.
Two big things I see sticking out here for Draper is the 6'3" versus the 5'10", and more importantly, he has a 9-inch reach advantage.
The fighter from Poland, now based in Munich, Germany, Boo Boo. Real name Piotr Civic. Civic told us he wants to go by Boo Boo. Who are we to argue?
It's way more fun to say.
For Boo Boo, this is his BKFC debut. He has fought twice in the sport of bare knuckle, also 3 times as a pro in MMA. Opportunities continue to come. Global. Again, Ian the Machine Freeman.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is presented by OnlyFans. And this is in the BKFC heavyweight division. Now let me introduce your fighter in the red corner. This fighter weighed in at 272 pounds. Making his BKFC debut from Munich, Germany, please welcome Fubo. And now welcome his opponent in the blue corner. This fighter weighed in at 265 pounds. He has a BKFC record of 2 wins, 1 loss with 1 draw. Representing Chatham from England, Jack the Spartan Draper. And your referee is legend Dan Mergliotta.
Well said by Ian the Machine Freeman, the legend indeed that is Dan Mergliotta. Bring both fighters up to scratch. Round number 1. White and gold trunks for the Englishman, Jack Draper. Black trunks for the Pole, now living in Germany, Fubo, Piotr Svik. Fubo in 3 with the left hook, not there. Draper Jared staying long early.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was going to say. Is he's getting that jab in out there. He's not necessarily popping with it yet, but he's keeping it in his face to give him something to think about.
Big uppercuts, rear right hand from Draper into the clinch. The separation from Mergliotta.
Yeah, if Fubo works his way inside, he needs to stay there and work and not clinch up, because it's a job just getting in there with somebody that long.
Slight apology from Fubo to Mergliotta. Mergliotta just telling him, watch the excessive holding on the inside. Fubo tipping his head overhand right, not there. Draper 6'3" to Fubo's 5'10", but that's accentuated by the crouching stance, those level changes on the entry from Fubo. On the overhook, snatched by Draper, separation again from Mergliotta. 55 seconds remaining, round number 1. Draper trying to stay long, active lead hand from the orthodox stance.
Yeah, it looks like he's going right back to the game plan, trying to keep him on the outside. And he still looks good and relaxed, even though he's tried to rush in on him a few times. That's good.
Fubo trying to enter on the overhand right. Big uppercut, left hook lands from Draper. Fubo stepping back. Now to the knee. And there is the clean knockdown.
Yeah, he saw his guy hurt, and he just didn't give him any time to recover and just went and capitalized.
The count of 8. Mergliotta talking to Fubo. Fubo holding his ear. This fight is over, and win number 1 in BKFC for Jack Draper.
He looked good, man. He came out, established his jab. The guy rushed him, tried to clinch him up. He didn't try and wrestle with him. He just got him back on the outside, caught him with a good hook, and evidently injured his ear. So.
You see Fubo still holding that right ear, holding it once more. Jack Draper, now 1-1 in BKFC promotionally, overall in the sport of bare knuckle, 3-1-1. He definitely has power.
Yeah, those are big boys. You can't, every shot counts.
Saw Fubo, as though Jared, he wanted to take a knee there, finally did. Beat the count, but then continued to hold his right ear. Dan Mergliotta ending this fight.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 times you see somebody holding a specific body part when they're not unconscious, the fight's going to be over.
Well won from Jack Draper. Gets a very powerful opponent in Fubo.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 1 minute, 41 seconds of the very first round, we have a winner by the way of technical knockout in the blue corner, Jack the Spartan Draper.
Big win for the hometown boy here. I like what he did.
Fubo was looking for the entries. Draper staying long. Draper found his range, landed the big shots to the knockdown and the finish. Victorious by way of first round technical knockout, Jack Draper defeats Fubo. BKFC 60. coming to you live from Milton Keynes, England, is presented by right-handed, down goes Julie Diaz. Three-punch combination in sequence there from Alves.
I'm the king of this shit, man. When it comes to trading punches, stay in the pocket, nobody can fuck with me.
Throwing the big left-handed BKFC 60, coming to you live this evening from Milton Keynes, England, is presented by Bucked Up Energy Drink, OnlyFans, Grunt Style Apparel, and by Forged Irish Stout. We're in the ancestral home of the great sport of bare-knuckle fighting, which dates back to the 1700s. We're in the United Kingdom. It is our debut in Milton Keynes. Jared, again, it's noteworthy. We talked about it at the opening of our broadcast, your last fight in November. Fighting in England, you were in Leeds. That was your first experience in this great country, of which I am very, very fond of. These are always outstanding crowds, whether you're doing MMA, boxing, kickboxing, or bare knuckle. These are always knowledgeable, passionate fans.
Yeah, you can feel the energy in that place. They love their fans. They're huge. They're just fight people over there. And it's off to a great start. We got 2 fights and 2 first-round finishes.
Jared, so not just English fighters that we've seen in BKFC's UK cards, fighters from Northern Ireland. We'll be seeing Connor Cook. We have Welsh fighters on this card, James Lilly, David Round. No Scots on this card, but we have seen Scottish fighters. We're also seeing the fighters coming in from Western Europe, Central Europe, and Eastern Europe, as well as Central Asia. So in 2 fights thus far, we've had 2 Polish fighters, an Englishman, and a fighter from Uzbekistan.
It's amazing. I mean, a lot of times in the States, you'll get half the card from one state and then the other guys from here and there. But it is, like you said, multiple countries. It's awesome.
Jared, we continue to roll in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship in the United States, our global expansion. We were in Mexico for BKFC 4, incidentally. That was Chris Lights Out Lytle's final fight. 3-0, he finished in BKFC before transitioning to commentary. We go back to Mexico. It is our debut in Puebla. Again, the first time for BKFC in Mexico since 2019. Rubio versus Hey Gallegos. You will see that right here on the BKFC app. Across Fubo are multiple broadcast platforms. Canada, earlier this year, became nation number 6. Again, we're back in the United Kingdom, 2 shows in Bulgaria. We've been to Thailand. There's been talk about going to Japan, talk about going into South America, and a big return to Mexico.
I can't wait to see what that does because Mexico in general has always had a huge boxing following. I think once they get a hold of bare knuckle, they're gonna drift on over.
Jared, let's talk about our main event. This is intriguing. The winner becomes the first ever Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship European 155-pound titleist, James Lilly from Wales versus the Argentine now based in Spain, Franco Tenaglia.
James Lilly, he has so much experience in this sport. I mean, you can look at it as like, oh, it's only 10 fights, but not a lot of people have 10 fights in bare knuckle right now. He's only got 1 loss, and to who was considered the pound-for-pound champ at the time, Luis Palomino. And he had to travel for that one. You know, he had to come to the States, and it can take a wear and tear on you. Here, closer to hometown, I think he's going to do well.
Let's talk about our co-main. Now, you're a very humble person, but we do want to acknowledge that your last fight was in November. You faced Danny Christie. His BKFC UK 185-pound title was not on the line because they're keeping that with fighters from the Commonwealth, you being an American, a Floridian. The title was not on the line. However, it was an outstanding performance for you. 3 knockdowns to the first-round TKO finish. You're obviously very humble, but I know you have great respect for Danny Christie,
Absolutely.
As well as his opponent in our co-main event title fight, David Round.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome fight. I mean, Danny Christie is a very, rough and tough, just strong-willed guy, kind of intense, even though very nice gentleman at the same time. Don't get me wrong. Like, we had some great conversation. That and David Round, he's always kind of come off as more of a goofy guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's been in there, done it 100 times between his fight sports, and it doesn't seem like there's as much nerves there. But I look forward to see these two guys go at it. They've had some funny commentary back and forth on social media. I think it's going to be a great fight.
When you were entering your Danny Christie fight, your head trainer, Jihad Wingfield, what were you studying? What were your concerns about him? He obviously has power.
Yeah, we knew he had power, and we knew he did best in a brawl. You know what I mean? So I was just trying to set up big punches without getting caught too close together. You know what I mean? I tried to stick and move. Thankfully, the game plan worked out well.
And I know that David Round has had some communication with you online.
Yeah, he's made some jokes to me. He's even said, he's like, I think I'm going to fight Danny Southpaw just to kind of give him a hard time. I don't know if he's actually going to do that or not, but he's looking forward to, if he gets this win, possibly being in a title contention himself at some point.
We have 3 title fights tonight. This is a huge card in the UK, and arguably it is our biggest card ever, our California debut for BKFC. We will be in Los Angeles at Peacock Theater April 27th. Knuckle Mania 4, our main event, Mike Perry versus Thiago Alves. For the BKFC heavyweight title, the Englishman from North Shields, that champion, Mick Terrell, versus the American from Florida, Lorenzo Hunt. And you see that feature fight also in the heavyweight division, 2 UFC veterans, Ben Rothwell versus Todd Duffy. Any other fight that, Jared, you might want to mention on that stacked card?
Absolutely. My girl, Crystal Pittman, she just got her contract signed a couple days ago. She's going to be in that card, so I'll be there live to support her along with the rest of the team. It's going to be awesome. A lot of eyes on Knuckle Media.
Crystal Pittman versus Claudia Zamora. I've commentated Claudia in MMA. She is a very talented fighter. This will be her BKFC debut. We had to mention, as I know Crystal is watching at home right now in Florida.
Yes,
watching
absolutely.
at your home, as a matter of fact. You're home together. So Knuckle Mania going in. We continue to move. We'll be going to Mohegan Sun. This will be our biggest show ever in the Northeast. Mohegan Sun outside of Hartford and Connecticut. I believe this is the nicest casino venue in the Northeast, one of the nicest in the world, in fact. We've talked about Mexico. BKFC continues to roll. More states coming online, more Native American tribes into Canada, back to Mexico. We see the foothold we have here in the United Kingdom.
It's going to be huge. I've heard Dave Feldman say in interviews for a while he never thought we were going to get California. And not less than a year after that, here we are. So I think there's a lot of fight fans over there. I mean, it is the most populated state. We're going to get huge viewings from that. It's going to be awesome.
Jared, you were one of the first fighters to come into BKFC. When you came in and you were a mid-card guy who's established yourself as legitimately one of the top fighters in our sport, did you see the growth potential, or was this just something you came out of kickboxing saying, this looks like fun?
You know, early on, I was thinking, it looks like fun. You know, I just want to, almost like a bucket list, like that. This would be a fun thing to do. As that fight card approached, I started seeing some of the big names they had on. I'm like, maybe I should take this a little more seriously. You know, my first fight card, Gabriel Gonzaga and Antonio Bigfoot Silva and stuff. These were, people I grew up watching in the UFC. And, after that, it kind of started changing my tune. I'm like, all right, this is the real deal.
As you've seen the sport progress, what are the changes? Chris Lights Out Lytle and I talk about the clinch has evolved. You're seeing smarter defensive clinches. You're seeing smarter entries. Also, the way that fighters train. I know that going into BKFC 1, which was June 2nd, 2018, in my fighter meetings, I was asking fighters, how do you train? I was getting everything from I'm hitting concrete walls, literally, to I'm sparring in MMA gloves, to I'm sparring in 16-ounce gloves. Have you seen all of that evolution?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. The punching brick walls,
that's gone.
The walls are going to win every time. I think having your hands, tough but as healthy as you can going into a fight is smart. You don't want them previously all banged up and bruised. But whether you use MMA or boxing gloves, you still have to wear gloves. You have to when you spar, because even if you're on light, someone's going to get cut, someone's going to bust a knuckle. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's evolving a lot. A lot of people just at first I think thought of it as this kind of a street fight almost, but it's not. Head movement's huge. You know what I mean? When you take gloves out of it, you're blocking with something smaller, you're hitting with something smaller, so that movement goes a long way.
And we're seeing not just the offensive clinch, we're seeing the defensive clinch.
Yeah. Pulling somebody down, you can walk backwards to where they start to lose their balance while you're still throwing uppercuts at them. It's dirty, but it works.
So you have an MMA and a kickboxing background. This sport to this point, this promotion, especially to this point, BKFC, has been dominant with fighters from MMA, from the UFC all the way to fighters who have fought AMI MMA. I think that Austin Trout, now defeating the great Luis Palomino, becoming our 165-pound champion, is going to open up high-level former world champions in boxing, such as Austin Trout, into this sport.
Yeah, he brought a whole new angle to it. He beat somebody in Luis Palomino that seemed unbeatable for a while. He was top of the game, and it still was a great fight, don't get me wrong. But Trout kind of made it look easy almost. And that's nothing towards Palomino, but he was so slick and his movement was so good that it just worked for him, and he didn't really take any damage in that fight.
I felt as though Austin Trout, because he cross-trained at both a Muay Thai gym and an MMA gym, that he really took this sport seriously, and not diminishing anyone, but we've seen high-level boxers previous to Austin Trout mixed success. Some have come in saying this is a new sport. Others have said this is just boxing without gloves, which it clearly is not.
That was probably his biggest asset, is that he was open-minded to learning new things. He was already a world champion boxer, so it would be easy for him to be like, well, I'm just going to come take the gloves off and crack these guys and be done with it. But he worked on his clinch. He worked on the dirty boxing and all that, and it paid off for him.
We're 30 years into the UFC, really 30 and a half years. November 12th, 1993, the great Art Davie, watching UFC, or watching tonight at home in Nevada, launched the UFC Revolution as their founder. We saw that rapid immersion. If you look at where the UFC was in the late 90s, I feel like that's BKFC now. We're established, more fighters are coming. It's gone from saying, who do we get on these cards, to who do we tell no on these cards?
Yeah, I would say it's just evolving even more exponentially than UFC did. Like, people, as soon as they hear about it, they're talking about it because it's such an exciting thing. Like, did you see these guys fight with no gloves? You know what I mean? And it's sky's the limit. I'm excited to see where it goes.
He is Jared Warren. He's our commentator tonight, in for Chris Lights Out Lytle, doing an outstanding job. We are in England. It's BKFC 60 from Milton Keynes. We continue to roll. About now in the middleweight division, the numbers presented by Forged Irish Stout for Toby Bindon versus Marcus Pond.
These two here are very similar on the tape. You got about 6 centimeters for Pond. That's pretty significant for a guy who's weighing in at 170.
Toby Bindon, set for his promotional debut in BKFC. In the sport of bare knuckle, he has had 3 fights. Bindon from Torquay, England. Jared, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, of course, uses the unified rules of bare knuckle fighting, but that is not the case with the rule set across all promotions in the United Kingdom and in Western and Eastern Europe. So Bindon is coming out of a rule set which is much more like traditional boxing. Chris Lights Out Lytle debuted before coming to BKFC on our 2nd and 4th shows under that rule set. Knockdowns in some promotions, it's a 20-second count as opposed to a 10.
Wow.
You're wrapping above the knuckles, and there's no active clinch fighting.
I think we got the better side of all 3 of those now.
One would agree.
Everyone's fired up and ready to go.
We go back to the machine. Ian Freeman.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is presented by Forged Irish Stout. And this bout is in the BKFC middleweight division. Now introducing your fighter in the red corner. This fighter weighed in at 171 pounds. He has a BKFC record of 1 win with no losses. Representing Plymouth, England, please welcome Marcus the Pilgrim Pond. And now welcome his opponent in the blue corner. This fighter weighed in at 172.2 pounds. He has a BKFC record of 1 win and 2 losses. Representing Torquay from England, Toby War Dog Bindan. And your referee for this bout, Chris Batcheldor.
That shows sportsmanship and respect between Toby Bindan and Marcus Pond. Call of Knuckle up from referee Chris Batcheldor, round number 1. Forward pressure immediately off of scratch for Marcus Pond. He's in the white trunks, black trunks for Toby Bindan. And then on a jab to the body, the up and down movement. There's the right hand clean on the entry goes Marcus Pond. Jump left hook not there for Bindan. Jump left hook not there for Pond.
Looks like we're getting a little smack talk earlier from Pond there.
Pond on the 1-2. Bindan, naked right hand to the body. And you see Pond telling him, throw to the body all that you would like. There's the left hand. That lands flush from Bindan. Overhand right. Now into the clinch. 1:15 remaining, round number 1. We're in the middleweight division. Jared, early on this has the pace of you throw, now I will throw. You throw, now I will throw.
Yeah, they don't seem like they're punching super technically, but they're throwing hard. And every time it lands, you can see both guys react.
That was Pond throwing. See the redness under Pond's right eye? And then on the 1-2. Stiff left hand from Toby Bindan, and down goes Marcus Pond.
It's one of those reasons it's never good to brag too early in a fight.
Mandatory 8 count given the Pond by Chris Batcheldor. We will continue with 30 seconds remaining, round number 1.
Let's see if Bindan tries to finish him here.
Check left hook, that landed flush from Bindan. Another left hand. Pond coming forward, gesturing wildly. Left hand, right hand. Pond resetting off the jab. Heavy feint from Marcus Pond. Bindan continues to swing big on the entry left hand. Jab of Pond negated by the Bindan defense. Pond still talking to Bindan.
Bindan's had a lot of success with his lead hook there. I'd like to see him continue.
That ends round number 1.
Yeah, I'd like to see Bindan continue with that lead hook, but not necessarily jump to close that distance like he has been a few times. You know, step in properly, close the distance, and just throw that lead hook. He looks like he's definitely cut his nose, if not cracked it already. Right there, perfect. You see how he's kind of lunging forward to close that distance? That's a double-edged sword. If he catches you in the middle of that, you can end up on your butt.
Now it's the histrionics from Toby Bindan, pointing to the scratch line. Slap of hands. Now both fighters officially up to scratch as ordered by Chris Batcheldor. Round number 2. There's the sporting touch of hands. Bindan a bit leery. Now the jab from Pond. And then dropping Pond in round number 1, presumably 10-8 across the board. Naked right hand to the body. Just as Bindan did that in round 1. And landed Pond, then responds. Pointed to his own body, now to the inside. Heavy on the clinch and the break from Batcheldor. 35 remaining, round 2.
That's probably the best exchange Bond's had so far. He landed a good 3 or 4 shots in that one.
See the slight cut under Bindan's left eye. On gesturing into his corner or possibly to the crowd. Not sure if that was diversionary or if he lost his concentration, but the right hand getting through. On now looking at his right hand and takes the left hook from Bindon. Knockdown number 2.
Yeah, he's enthusiastic, but I think he should focus more on landing than playing to the crowd.
This fight will continue. Sportsmanship continues. The touch of hands and a right hand getting through from Toby Bindon. Now the left hand. Bindon continuing, Jared, to land on that left hand entry.
Yeah, he's obviously hurting over there on his right hand, but he's still throwing. He's game.
Knockdown number 3.
Yeah, he looks like he might have to get on this one.
Up at 8.
All right.
This fight will continue. 3-0 in favor of knockdowns for Toby Bindon. Pawn drops to the canvas, and that is the fight.
That was an interesting way to do it, but my guess would be that he wanted to show that he wasn't getting knocked out, but he can't continue because of his hand injury. Good fight, though. That was entertaining.
BKFC 60, coming to you from northwest of London in Milton Keynes, England, is presented commercial-free by Bucked Up Energy Drink. Marcus Pond beat the count, almost as though he wanted to prove something to himself, and then immediately went to the canvas. That draws the end from referee Chris Bacheldor officially. 3 knockdowns and then the drop down to the finish.
And overall, 3 prelim fights with 3 finishes. I love it. Yeah, that's a good start to a good card.
See both fighters cut. Bindon under his left eye. Pond outside of his right brow and right lid. Great sportsmanship from both. Bindon dropping Pond in round number 1. Twice, then dropping Pond in round number 2. On the final knockdown, Pond getting up, dropping back down. That's the fight.
After 1 minute 44 seconds of round 2, we have a winner by the way of technical knockout in the blue corner, Toby War Dog Bindon.
That was a good fight, man. Pond came out there, and like I said earlier, he was really enthusiastic. I think he's just the scrapper type. He may not care too much if he wins or lose, but he just wants to fight, and that's always great for the fans. They put on a hell of a show.
3 knockdowns, then the drop down and the end. The winner by way of second round TKO, Toby Bindon defeats Marcus Pond.
Who owns Combat Sports now? The king of violence! Brandon Mike Perrin!
Down goes Michael Page in round 1. Jason Rocky Balboa versus Apollo Creed. Mike Perrin! Right-handed, down goes Julie Diaz. 3-punch combination in sequence there from Alex.
I'm the king of this shit, man. When it comes to trading, punching, and staying in the pocket, nobody can fuck with me.
Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship is back in England, and tonight it is our debut in Milton Keynes, BKFC 60. 3 prelims on our worldwide preview, 3 finishes still to come. Our main card, 8 bouts in total, including 3 title fights. Jarrett, the finishes continue to come here, BKFC UK, BKFC 60.
I love it. Those guys are rowdy. The fighters are rowdy. The audience is rowdy. It's just a big big energy over there. It's unparalleled.
So 3 title fights coming up in our co-main. It is for the inaugural Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship United Kingdom 145-pound title. That is our feature fight, our co-main for the BKFC Light Heavyweight UK title. And then our main event for the first ever crowning of the champion BKFC Europe 155-pound division. This is especially intriguing on this stacked fight card. The fighter from Wales, James Lilly, versus the Argentine, now based in Spain, Franco Tenaglia. Yeah,
it's huge, especially I can say on James Lilly's side. He only has the 1 loss to Palomino, which is, pretty significant. And after that, he could be right back in it. Yeah, I mean, he keeps beating a couple more top contenders. They could throw him back in there.
We had a stacked card last week in one of our main staples of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, Albuquerque, New Mexico, BKFC 59. This was at 185 pounds, and that was a big Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship debut for Nick Coring, 13-2 in Pro MMA, as he defeated Kyle McElroy, now 1-0 in BKFC with the first round TKO.
Honestly, that was my favorite fight of the night.
The night opened, 125-pounders, Austin Lewis.